Hello, and welcome to our first Google Cloud Community event of the year. Thank you for joining us for our session on modern software delivery with Duet AI for developers. My name is Lauren, and I'm the content manager for the Google Cloud Community, and I'm thrilled to be here today with Marcos, product manager and Duet AI for developers lead, who will be taking us through the content and answering your questions today. So before I hand it over to Marcos, just a couple reminders. Please, questions are encouraged, so feel free to add those into the YouTube chat box, and we'll be sure to get to them either during the session or at the very end. And for any questions that we don't get to, we encourage you to use the Google Cloud community, and the link to that is in the YouTube description, along with a few other resources that are relevant for today's discussion. If you have any comments, anything you want to share, feel free to drop those into the chat as well. We'd love to hear from you, any projects that you're working on, or any tips that you've had if you've been playing with the products themselves. So we'd love to hear from you, and thank you again for joining us. It's great to see where you all are tuning in from. All right, with that, Marcos, I will let you take it away from here.
All right, thanks, Lauren, thanks for having me here as well. So, hi, everybody. Marcus, product manager for Duet AI for developers, and looking forward to giving you an overview of what we've been building over the last year, plus also answering some of your common questions. So, before I get started, I'll be going to the slides here. I'll be trying to keep track of the comments and try to address questions in line. If I ever skip a question, I'll try to make sure I have 20, 30 minutes for you to be able to answer any questions top of mind as well. With that said, let's then get started with our modern software delivery with Duet session. So the agenda for today, we'll be covering a few topics. We start by giving a high-level overview of the AI developer assistance Google Cloud and more broadly Google provides, followed by a product deep dive. And then we'll be giving a quick high-level demo just to show how you folks can get started on Duet AI and do some basic development tasks to highlight those journeys. And followed by some overview of productivity impact that some of our customers have been seeing, and then open up to Duet, open up for Q&A. So, Kumarisa, to your question, yes, Dart is one of the supported languages on Duet, and can chat more about that after. So, all right, so starting with the high-level overview here, right? So the first thing I want you to do here is provide a quick overview of the broader Google Cloud portfolio for enterprise-focused generative AI, right? So, of course, we have an ecosystem. At the foundation of it is expect you to have Google Cloud's infrastructure. VMs, GPUs, TPUs, orchestrators, all the things, all of the foundationals which make all of the more abstract layers possible. On top of that, there are two key portfolios of products we have: Vertex AI and Duet AI. I think the key way of looking at those is it's a SaaS, software as a service, and platform as a service kind of offering. So Vertex AI is very much focused on providing the APIs and the fundamental blocks for you to build your applications. Let's say you want to get text translation, or you want to get an API for you to build your own chatbot or your LLM-based applications. Vertex AI provides you with the underlying APIs you can use for this. Duet AI provides with ready-to-use solutions. For example, you can install the Duet AI ID extension on your VS Code or your IntelliJ and get AI-powered development assistant from the get-go. Or you can use Duet AI from the Google Cloud Console to help you with operator tasks. You have Duet AI within BigQuery, you have Duet AI on the Security Command Center. You can see essentially as the always-on collaborator, which integrates with the services you're using throughout your development lifecycle to provide you with AI-powered assistance, right? So that's the high-level overview. So now diving deeper on development, right? So when you're thinking about building a Duet AI, So one thing we did was we spent significant time talking to customers, many of those you folks here in the session, to understand what were the key challenges they had today with accelerating their software delivery velocity, to better understand which of those would AI-powered assistance be a good fit for. I think none of the items here should be a surprise, but I think the key category of issues we saw is one is low developer onboarding. So essentially, the time it takes for a developer who's new to a organization, to a team, or to a project to get fully up to speed and be able to start reading, writing, and contributing code. That's one. The second is excessive context switching. I think we all have been there. Say you are troubleshooting an application and you quickly find yourself with 20 different tabs open and having to juggle documentation, IDE, code, and multiple different sources and try to piece all of this data together. So that quickly becomes a overwhelming kind of task. And the next category here is high maintenance costs and tech debt. I think the key idea here is ensuring that the software always grows over time. The idea here is how can we ensure that even though your code base is growing, you are having a high quality code base. The tech debt is not becoming a blocker or a something which is dragging and slowing down your productivity, followed by repetitive tasks, writing unit tests, refactoring code, documenting code. Those are all tasks which you have to do to ensure a high quality code base and to ensure you are delivering a sustainable value, but can quickly become distractions and add toil on the day-to-day development. Right, that's the high-level overview of the challenges Duet aims to focus. And the key solution here is Duet AI. The key idea here is it's the first AI assistant which is built thinking about the holistic and complete enterprise software development lifecycle. So key capabilities here. So today you have some early previews of the ability to customize Duet on your organization context and enterprise code. Let's say you are a company or a developer writing Java code. Yes, you have all the public Java libraries, but very likely you have a series of private classes, private methods, and specific coding conventions. And the idea here for Duet is extending that so we can index and be aware of this private knowledge and take that into account to not only provide suggestions aware of your frameworks, but also nudge developers towards writing the way which is typically the regular way your organization or team does. The next focus here is increasing developer velocity and improving the overall developer experience by providing contextual assistance. The other idea here is streamline repetitive tasks. You see here in the demo tasks such as understanding code or writing your tests. Those are tasks which Duet is a good fit for. And finally, enterprise ready. The key idea here is Duet AI was built from the get-go with the enterprise needs in terms of compliance controls in mind, right? So essentially some of the checkboxes such as VPC-SE, VPC, CMAC, AXT. So we build Duet to make sure it kind of complies with all of those in mind to essentially ensure is kind of say meeting and in some cases even exceeding the internal enterprise guardrails and policies our enterprise customers have. Right. So that's the high level overview of Duet. As I mentioned before, Duet AI is a portfolio of products. It has multiple solutions, and those solutions are focused on individual personas. Today, we'll be focusing on the green square there, which is assistive development. Essentially, Duet AI assistants focus on developers on their code editors, VS Code, IntelliJ, and you'll be seeing some examples such as code completions, code generations. The idea here is helping developers be more productive on their day-to-day, But Duet also has other offerings which encourage you folks to check on our documentation after, focus on other personas such as assistive operations. Essentially, imagine a chatbot directly inside the Cloud Console. And this chatbot providing you with assistance on things such as how to perform a specific task on Google Cloud, or recommendations on how to understand your deployment, optimize your applications for cost or security or reliability. That's the idea for assistive operations. The next one is assistive data exploration. That's very much focused on the person who spends a fair amount of time reading or writing SQL queries. So the key idea here is, and this comes in the shape of integrations with BigQuery and others coming soon, with things such as helping developers write their SQL queries, or more importantly, help them read and understand an existing queries, or helping them do things such as adding columns, joins, and modify the queries and convert between dialects. Imagine you're trying to convert MySQL to Google Standard SQL. Help on that conversion step. And finally, assistive security. The key idea here is on Google Cloud security surfaces, such as the Security Command Center or the Mandiant console, to provide AI-powered assistance with tasks such as identifying ongoing vulnerabilities, providing vulnerability reports, or helping with security teams with remediate and prevent lateral movements after a vulnerability was detected. Folks, that's the overall portfolio here. So I'll now start the deep dive and start going deep into specific use cases, Duet AI for developers support. I think the first use case here is AI code completion. The key idea here is once you enable Duet AI in your code editor, it helps you at the most fundamental level with two capabilities: code completion and code generation. As you're typing code, you see ghost suggestions popping up, and you can always press tab to accept or ask to dismiss, or just keep typing and ignore those. The key idea here is providing contextual suggestions with things such as adding a variable name or completing a for loop or generating a whole code block. That's one thing. At any point, you can always press Control Enter and trigger what you call as code generations. The key idea here is you trigger a more advanced model, which generates a whole code block or whole function, in some cases, whole files. It takes a bit longer, but it does tend to generate more complete, more comprehensive results. So code generation and code completion are the two contextual modes you get when using Duet. As for IDE support, this slide's outdated, so it should have updated, but all of those IDEs are available today, so in GA. So both VS Code, Visual Studio Code, as well as JetBrains IDEs are available in GA today. It's been available since December 13th, including Cloud Shell Editor, which can always access from the Cloud Console or by going to ide.cloud.google.com, as well as cloud workstations. So you have both local IDs as well as remote IDs supported. Let me just do a quick pass and some questions which we saw here. So Kunal asked, do you need a Google Cloud account? Yes, you need a Google Cloud account. And Duet is available free until February 1st. So you do need a Google account, but it won't be charged until February 1st. The question from Moses was, are those use cases exclusive to Google Cloud, or do they also apply to other clouds? They're not exclusive. They're optimized for cloud, but any kind of development should be supported, be it other clouds or other big or smaller clouds or their frameworks. And Taylor had a question about what open source code is used. It's a public crawl focused on filtering out non-permissive license code. And I'll talk in the next slide about recitation checking. So Taylor, just hang a bit. Next slide should cover some of your questions. And Vladimir had a question about is code completion and code generation supported with PyCharm and Python? And yes, so it is supported on both Python for PyCharm, Python for VS Code, limited support for notebooks. So notebooks are still an area where there's limited support. You do have Duet AI for Colab though. So if you use Colab, you should be able to use Duet AI there. Just notebooks on VS Code has limited support today. So just to continue going on here, license attribution license, license attribution assistant, sorry. So one key thing we hear from customers is, hey, it's nice, Duet AI is providing me with AI assistance, but what if the code which Duet AI is providing me is citing a specific repo which falls under a license? So Duet AI has a few controls and security mechanisms to help address those cases and increase your security bar. So three specific, right? So not security bar. So increase, provide IP protection guarantee. So three specifically. So the first one is the source code the data used to train for Duet AI is we remove non-permissively licensed code for the cases where you can identify that code as being a non-permissively licensed. Let's say if a repo is explicitly flagged as being LGPL licensed, we remove that from our training data set. However, if a repo has unknown license, we still keep that on our training data set. That's the first step. The second step is whenever Duet is providing code completions, code suggestions, and chat responses, whenever those responses cite our training data at length, that is flagged on the UI. And you can see here a screenshot. In that case, that specific bit of code is citing the AKMAMKey repo. So what we do here is we highlight the bits which are a citation. We give you a link back to the repo, and we give you that licensing information. That's one. And the third one is Google Cloud AI indemnification policy. You can do a search for AI indemnification Google Cloud, and you'll find that. Google, let's say in the case our enterprise customers, let's say if you have your Duet AI licenses, you have a legal risk, let's say some litigation due to AI generated content provided by Duet. A common question we get is, will Google Cloud protect me? And yes, Google Cloud will protect customers in those specific cases. Third use case here is code explanation. So one thing developers do more often than writing code is reading code, right? So developers spend a significant amount of time reading and understanding and getting familiar with code base, either because they're going to contribute to code base or because they have to depend on a specific code. Let's say make an API call or integrate a service. One thing Duet AI has is what you call as smart actions. So whenever you select a piece of code, you see a light bulb display near your code. If you click on that light bulb, you get a few smart actions you can do, such as explain my code, or generate unit tests, or generate code. Once you click on one of those, what those will do is open the sidebar chatbot Duet AI has and perform that specific action, such as explaining the code or generating a unit test. And this is available for all the IDEs I mentioned before as well, such as VS Code, IntelliJ, PyCharm, so on and so forth. That's the third use case. And the fourth and pretty important use case is test generation. Let's say you're writing code, but you want to write, let's say, unit tests. Can Duet help me with that? Yes, you can. So what you can do here is there are a few ways that you can generate tests. You can select code, use a smart action, You can also open the chat and ask for code generation, for test generation. And the nice thing here is you can kind of see Duet as a pair programmer here. What you can do is say, hey, propose some unit tests. And then say, oh, it's nice. I have some unit tests. But please extend coverage to now also cover localization edge cases or string formatting edge cases. You can kind of say nudge. You can use in natural language prompts, nudge Duet towards massaging the unit test generated. And then once they look good enough, you can copy them to your file and do any final tweaks needed for uh, creating your unit tests. So you can see here essentially Duet suggesting a test plan, followed by generating the actual and implementing the actual tests, in that case for a goal specific file. Folks, I'll now move on to showing you quickly a demo of what this looks like live. Before I do that, let me just quickly go through some remaining questions we may have here. So app scripts code, Raintech Solutions had a question. So if it works for app scripts, if this is for the Google Docs app scripts editor, it doesn't. So this editor is not integrated with Duet. If it is, if you're editing app scripts code inside VS Code or IntelliJ, yes, you can enable Duet. So within the IDs, you should be able to get support for that. So good, and Kustowski has a question which is something coming for Google App Scripts? So we're investigating. There's no specific commitment now. We did hear from customers doing this. That something is being investigated. No formal commitments on that. In the meantime, what you could do is use do app script editing within VS Code or WebStorm or your favorite editor. Which yes, it does add some friction. You have to copy and paste, but that's the workaround which is possible today. What is the pricing set for Duet service? Good question, Sartak. So up to between now and February 1st, we're going through a promo period. So you can use Duet as much as you want. You won't be charged, but you like to say, yes, but I want to know after February 1st. After February 1st, you need to have a Duet AI license. And this license will cost $19 per month. So essentially $19 per month. And the key idea here is, yes, so it's a pricing you see it's comparable to other solutions in the market. So that's the plan for this. Could these be integrated? So Sebastian now has a question. Actually, Sartak had a follow-up question, which is restriction in the terms of numbers of code and token generated. There are restrictions, but based on experience, none of them should be hit on regular day-to-day development. So the idea here is we do have QPS restrictions for ensuring that there's no abuse on Duet. But based on our experience, we never saw a developer hitting those. I mean, I wouldn't say it's impossible, but they're hard to meet because the restrictions are there to ensure there's no abuse case where someone someone find a way to get the keys and use Duet as an API. So, but for development use cases, there are limits, but those are rare to meet. So that's for Sartag's. Now for Sebastian's question. QDs be integrated into the LSP protocol, so it can be incorporated into more IDEs. So interesting enough, if you open the hood inside Cloud Code, it is integrated. It is just not, the code is just not open source. So it is integrated, but just not open source. So technically possible, but today our team is centrally integrating that into other IDEs. And happy to chat more with you, Sebastian, offline about any ideas you may have to see potential ways for us to be creative about giving you access. And the final question I'll take, just so I can cover the demo and I'll cover the other ones after, is from Kumaris and Jackie, how the Duet helps Flutter. So Dart should be among the supported languages. So essentially the same way as Duet helps you with Python, with Java, with Go, JavaScript, it should help you with Flutter. So if you're editing Flutter files within VS Code, you should get Duet support. If you do a quick Google search for Duet AI supported languages, you'll be able to see the list of 20 to 30 languages Duet AI supports off the box. Does it mean Duet AI won't work for other languages? It will work in some cases, but it may not work with great support because the list of languages, because essentially the idea here is for languages with less publicly available code, the support may get maybe lower quality there. All right, folks, let me just quickly jump to the demo, and I'll cover the questions after the demo. I just want to quickly show you live what Duet looks like. So now it's the time where I hope the demo gods will be on my side. So hopefully no surprises. So I want to show two things here, right? So first is I'll just go through the onboarding process myself for Duet. And then I'll do some very basic development tests. The goal here is not to write a full-blown application. I believe we have a session in a few weeks where you can see a full-blown application written with Duet, so I encourage you to join that session as well. But it's more about just showcasing at a basic level the capabilities you have on Duet, right? So let me do a quick thing. Let me start sharing. Oh, let me start sharing my screen, add to stage. All right, so you should now see a screen with VS Code. The first thing I'll do is I'll open that page. Let's say you did a Google search, Duet AI for developers. Let me zoom in a bit. If the font size is small, please chime in. But I did some zoom. It is looking, okay, good. I see thumbs up. So you do a Google search, Duet AI for developers, you very likely stumble upon somehow on that page. Let's say the most common first or second result. This page is going to say our product page with an overview of all the nice stuff Duet AI has. You can read through that to learn more about the specifics, or you can just click on the Try Now button in case you want to get started. This sends you to our documentation, quick start, which has a series of links to docs showing you how to perform, how to enable Duet from the console. The nice thing is you can follow those if you want to, but you don't need to. You can always follow the onboarding process directly from your IDE, right? So I have here a few links showing you how to use Cloud Shell Editor, Cloud Workstations, or VS Code. In that case, let me follow the VS Code flow. If I click on this, what you do is you take me to the VS Code marketplace, where for the Google Cloud Code extension, which is the delivery mechanism for the Duet AI capabilities. If I click on install, it will just use the protocol handler and tell me, hey, I don't want to open VS Code for this. You can accept that. Click on continue, open VS Code. What you do here is launch VS Code. Let me just close some of the files here. It will launch VS Code and ask you to say, hey, do you want to install Cloud Code? You click on install. Once you finish installing Cloud Code, the first time what you get is the welcome page. So what I did here is I just installed Cloud Code, and I get this welcome page to pop up. I can click on this walkthrough. Oh, I'm signed in. So let me just sign out. I just tried to mimic the actual onboarding process because I was testing this demo before. So let me go back. So this is the experience a first-time user gets. So click here on Open Walkthrough. The first thing you want to do is, hey, you need to connect to your Google Cloud account. What you can do here is click on Connect, and you'll be taken to the typical OAuth flow to log in to your Google account. You click on Open, you go to your login process, you log in with your account, you sign in. So that's the bulk of what it takes to, so now I'm authenticated with Duet AI. You see here, again, a confirmation. I'm now signed in. What I can do next is set up a Google Cloud project. So you need a Google Cloud project for using Duet. I'll just pick my Duet demo test project. And that's it essentially. So that's the onboarding process. You log in, select your project. The caveat here is if you don't have the Duet AI API enabled, which I have here now, but just for sake of time, I want to disable it. You just get a pop-up say, hey, please enable your Duet AI to continue using. If you click on Duet AI enable API, you should also enable the APIs, and then it should be good to go with using Duet AI. Let me just show you some basic examples here. So I have a basic Python file open here. Let's say I want to write a function to generate the Fibonacci sequence. What you saw here is within that's the one of the most basic hello world, let's say quick start kind of examples. So what you can see here is if I just start typing, let's say Fibonacci sequence, you get some ghost text being displayed. This is code completion. But you also have the option of using code generation. So what you do here is I'll press Control Enter. What you can see here is it triggers it takes a bit longer. That case was just 1 or 2 seconds versus 100 milliseconds, 200 milliseconds for code completions. What it does here, it tries to generate a more complete piece of code. So not only it got me the Fibonacci function, but it also got a function to print that and a function to call the Fibonacci sequence, which I can now run from my terminal, and is expected I can get Fibonacci code running. So that's one thing, right? So that's code completion, code generation. Let's say you say, hey, that's nice. How can I help Duet and now help me understand that code? As I mentioned before, code explanation. Let's say I just select that specific function. What I can do here is click on this light bulb, click on explain this. What Duet we do here is provide me with a natural language explanation of my code and provide any sources which may be relevant for me to understand further. That's for code explanation here. So next thing I want to show here is test generation, the fourth use case I had shown before. Let's say, okay, that's nice. Duet helps me generate code. How could I now create some unit tests for that? So what I can do here is on the chat, you can create, can type here, generate unit tests. And what does it do here is it will generate unit tests for that function I just saw before. And the key idea here is the chatbot has the context of the code you have open on your code editors. Today, the chatbot has the context just of the most recently active file. We're working on expanding support to cover the multiple files you may have open within your workspace. That's one way of doing this. Another way which I particularly like doing is just creating a new file. Let's say new file test underscore main.py. What you can do here is come here and type create unit tests for Fibonacci function. And what I can do here is just trigger code generation. So I get similar results to what I had before. One thing I want to highlight here is for code generation, we are already passing all of the files you have open on your workspace. So there's a very interesting difference you can see here. So not only my unit tests were generated, but I also got the import statement from main import Fibonacci. You can see here how this could be very handy for writing the test, because not only the test was written, it knows that I'm not talking about a generic Fibonacci function. I'm talking about the Fibonacci function I just created on my local code. That essentially should give me something which should be ready to run here. So if I do, let's say, Python 3-m unit test main, you can see here, indeed, I was able to run those 11 tests. And to show you those are real, if I change one of them will start now failing. So as you can see here is, I was able, of course, that's a basic example, But you can see here how this enables for some pretty powerful use case where I don't have to go to a chat, generate a test, call back and forth. You can just continue typing your code. Duet, by having the context of your other files, generates unit tests, doing the proper imports of the functions, and use the function signature of those specific scripts. Folks, that's it in a nutshell. So the examples I showed here were relatively basic, but you can tell if you do something such as function to create a GCS bucket, you can also see Duet doing more powerful generations here, right? So in that case, Google Cloud Storage bucket. Right, so in that case here, I'm creating a GCS bucket. One thing I mentioned before is citation, right? So in that case, that's very interesting because in that case, it was a harmless citation. I'm trying to create a code to create a GCS bucket. And yes, that code does match publicly available code, but it is the Google API's code. So if I follow on the source here and open the actual page, you see this is Apache 2 license code. The key idea here is whenever the code is matched, you see that highlighted. So I can just dismiss that if I see fit. So what I can do here is either ignore that or select that and dismiss a bit of code. My key idea here is you see those suggestions popping up. In this case, it is a harmless one, but this will allow you to adapt the AI tooling assistance to your organization IP posture. Someone may say, hey, I may even want to block that, or I may just want to block in the case where the license is unknown. Let's say some organization may say, may block Stack Overflow generated code. So this, if this code came from Stack Overflow, it would have flagged it flagged as coming from Stack Overflow. Folks, that's it for the demo. I will now switch back to the slides, but I'll also take a quick time to address some of the questions we got here because I saw some activity here. So Kamara Muhammadu, sorry if I pronounce your name wrong, is code complete and code generation supported in VS Code? Yes, that is supported. As you folks saw in the demo. So yes, that's the case. Then Rohit Shidran, how Duet AI be helping on the data analytics field? So a bit more generative content. So for data analytics, so you can use Duet on the IDEs for editing SQL code. So that could be one way I can see this working for data analytics. You also have Duet AI for BigQuery. For SQL kind of use case could help you with this. Custom training Duet. So today, short answer is not officially supported. We have a early experiment going on of customization using not really fine-tuning, is more focused on retrieval-based approaches, just all performing better, but kind of equivalent to those. We are working on offering support customization of Duet. If you want to try out customization capabilities, and one option I have as well today is using the Vertex APIs. So Vertex has code APIs, chat APIs, general purpose LLM APIs, and those should allow you to do parameter efficient fine tuning. So you can create a JSON-L file and do fine tuning. So those are some of the options I have here. So SQL Duet AI assistance for SQL in the IDE, Duet AI assistance on SQL inside BigQuery, and directly calling Vertex AI APIs. Okay, so next question, Kunal Rabidas. Can I use this for C, C++ instead of Python? Yes, you can use that for C, C++, and they do have customers using that for C, C++. We even saw some very interesting cases on embedded systems development. So yes, that's one of the supported languages. So next question here is for Alex L. Is Duet AI integrated into the Google Cloud Console? Yes, it is. So if you open the Google Cloud Console, yeah, it is available in GA now. So if you go to our documentation, it shows you how to use that. It is part of Duet AI for developers. So you should be able to use that. Can it help give advice for why GCP products need to be used? Yes, that's one of the core use cases. Let's say you're writing a microservice. Say, hey, should I be using Kubernetes? Should I be using Cloud Run? Should I be using GCP VMs? That's the kind of use cases where Duet AI can help you get guidance for when each specific route could be best for you, and can give step-by-step instructions on how to deploy a model on Vertex AI. So yes, it should also help you. So yes, so it also should help you with provide guidance on those flows here. Let's say Kunal Rebidas has a second question, which is thanks for the positive feedback. So cool. Is the generative code and explanation also needs this $19 subscription? So yes, it also needs the subscription. So this is all part of the Duet AI for Developers subscription. And again, we are in a promotional period between now and February 1st. So you can now use those capabilities without purchasing a subscription. Next question is Sartak Samal, how to generate the code? So the base keyboard shortcut is Control Enter. You can open the ID settings and customize to a shortcut of your liking. So the base one is Control Enter. You can pick whatever key binding or keyboard shortcut of your preference. So Anatole has a question about how does it compare to GitHub Copilot and which model is used under the hood. Of course, I'm biased. The way I answer this question and opinions vary. I'd say capabilities are comparable here. I encourage you folks to try both. And the model used under the hood here, those are the Cody models. So essentially, Cody is a Palm 2 based model. That's the model I'm showing here. And Gemini models are coming soon. So over the next week, you should be getting some new models coming soon. Taylor Olson, is there a way to with Vertex AI with the Google Password Manager? Yes, I think this one may be out of scope. So one thing we can do is follow up with some of the Vertex PMs to do a deep dive on this one specifically. All right, folks, I'll continue going to the presentation here. Please feel free to continue adding your questions. I'll try to be pausing and addressing those whenever I can. I want to talk about the impact of that. So you folks saw now, yes, there's some cool stuff the Duet is showing you. But a key question we get from customers is, okay, but will that actually help me with shipping high quality code faster? It would help my developers be more productive. I want to show you some data points that we saw so far, right? So one of our customers, Wayfair. For folks not familiar, Wayfair is an e-commerce company which has presence in the US and I think globally as well. Essentially, they've been using and evaluating Duet with the development teams. One thing they did was they ran some initial surveys to understand the impact of Duet. And one thing they saw was an increase in the environment setup time, an increase in their unit test coverage, just by making it convenient for one to modify the code. And more importantly, I think it's not just about shipping code faster, but I think one key thing which Duet helps with is allowing developers to focus on more rewarding development tasks and essentially stay in the state of flow for longer. So one thing we saw here is developers also reporting being able to focus on more satisfying work, helping get repetitive tasks automated and focus on the more challenging and more satisfying element of the development day to day. That's one. Next thing I want to mention here is I think one of the best ways of improving a product is using it. And one thing I want to mention here is a lot of the things you're seeing here on Duet AI are also being used internally within Google, right? So Duet AI is approved for internal use within Google, including for production usage kind of a use case. And I think this is really something which really helped us accelerate our pace of delivery, because Google, as everybody here knows, has tons of developers. So having tons of developers using a developer product really helped us do two things. One is get a very tight iteration loop. So developers using that, providing feedback, reshipping a fix, getting feedback again, so allows us to iterate much faster towards a high quality product, and also helped us more quickly address some of the enterprise needs Google has that our customers also has, for example, right? So some of the things, some of the directions that this effort helped shape was, for example, Duet AI does not store neither the user prompts nor model responses. So a common question I get is, are we using the user prompts to train Duet AI's model? The short answer is no, we are not. It's a clear line of descent. We do not do that. Plus, we also not even store those prompts. So even if we were to change our minds in the future, we don't have this data. So that's an additional, of course, we won't be changing the mind with those. That's a clear line, but that's kind of an additional safe guard here. And these models are trained on a publicly available permissive license coded data. It's essentially crawl of publicly available code, plus a series of proprietary Google created data sets to increase the quality of Duet. And as I mentioned before, whenever Duet AI provides source citations, provides suggestions which sites code at length, you get citations displayed, Duet displayed, citations displayed on the Duet AI UI, and customers have the option of requesting the blocking of such suggestions if they want to have a more aggressive posture towards blocking a potentially licensed code. Folks, that's it in a nutshell. So I wanted to also save some time for questions here. You can see here some of the follow-up content. So really encourage you to kick the tires, do the pilots, try it out. As I mentioned, we have a promo period going on. It's a good time for trying this out. And we have here some of the links for getting you started. So with that said, let me try to, let's see, I think we have some additional questions on the slide deck we can cover. I'll just quickly try to cover some of the remaining questions we have here. So question from Sataba Toth, how big is the code context with Palm 2 and the upcoming Gemini? So there are two kinds of context. There's training data. Training data is big, a few billions, if not trillions of tokens being used for training. I don't have the specific number, so you may be even be able to find that on some of our public docs page, but it's a lot of tokens. The context window used by Duet, it varies. For the chat, is something around 32K tokens. For code completions, the code generation, something around 4 to 8,000 tokens. I don't think the context windows for Gemini are publicly disclosed yet. So we stay tuned. We share those once at least to the best of my knowledge. But so stay tuned on this one. For Slim Azais, what's the data source of Duet AI? It's a public crawl of publicly available code, essentially. Marcus, question from Cario Analytics. My code could be used to support other Duet users. I think that if I'm getting correctly, the question here may be that is my code being used to train Duet AI? And the short answer is no. Your code is only used for providing context on Duet AI for serving your use case specifically. Code is not shared between developers. Question from Aditya. Can Duet AI fix the code or provide suggestions to better it? Yes, it can. You can do things such as use Duet AI to say, hey, fix my code, or just say, hey, am I following good practices? And Duet AI will help you towards this. Then next question from the final question I'm going to take over from, I just want to take this question from Christoph before we go through some other questions on the deck as well, which were selected, which is, how was the training data picked? Is there any way to guarantee the code and the trainer data is of high quality? I think it's a great question, and we can even spend the whole hour talking about this. I think at a very high level here is we run a series of experiments and iterations and cleanup steps on our data set to increase its quality. So what you do here is you run a combination of industry benchmarks. You likely heard about human eval, NBPP, human eval X, plus proprietary benchmarks. And the idea here is whenever you get a new model checkpoint or whenever you get a new candidate training data set, we run those evals against that. And then if the evals look great, perfect. If they don't look that great, we then massage and tweak on our data set. So I think it's an ongoing area of iteration and investigation there. Cool. With that said, so Lauren, should I go to the questions? Do you go to the questions? How do you typically follow that session?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, thank you so much for this presentation and the demo, and thank you everyone for joining us and for all of your questions. Before jumping into just a few of the pre-submitted questions that we've received, I did want to cover a few of these additional resources. So these can be found in the YouTube description as well. So you don't need to type in these links. You can just find them in the YouTube description. But first, just to help you get started today is that first link on the left. There is a learning courses that you can take on Google Cloud Skills Boost. So we would love for you to get hands-on and earn your completion badges. Also, if you run into any questions as you're testing it out, as you're using the solutions, and you're running into a question, we encourage you to search or post a new post in the community. And that's that second link there is specific for Duet AI for developers. So our team, the community, will be happy to help you out. And that goes for any questions that we're not able to get to today. And then lastly, just two more things. We would love to hear your feedback on this session. If you have any suggestions for future topics as well, we did drop this into the chat, but just the feedback link for our Google Cloud community events. We would really love to hear from you. It only takes about 30 seconds. And then lastly, just highlighting some of the upcoming sessions that we have. In particular, I do want to highlight our Code with Duet AI live series. This is happening every week starting next week, and it's where you can actually see our developer advocates live coding on open source and then using Duet AI to help them with their day-to-day tasks. So this could be a really cool opportunity to see Duet AI in action and even more use cases and scenarios. So definitely encourage you to check those out. But with that, yep, we have just about 8 more minutes or so to go through remaining questions. So we will do that. If you have any additional, now is the time. Please continue to use the chat box and we'll be sure to get to them. So Marcos will go through some of those pre-submitted questions and then we'll transition over to any remaining that we have in the chat. So we may have already slightly covered this, but is Duet AI powered by Gemini or any other AI model, or is it another model specific to Duet AI?
Yeah, I think we covered this before, but just to recap, essentially Duet AI is powered by Cody-based models, which are themselves based on the PaLM 2 foundational model, and we're moving to Gemini over the next weeks. Yeah.
Awesome. Yep. And then can you please just give a brief overview? I think this was covered at the beginning, but it is a common question that we are seeing in the community is how is Duet AI different from Vertex AI?
A great question. Yeah, I think Duet AI are the tools which you can integrate with your surface, where you develop code or do your operation tasks to provide you AI-powered assistance. You can integrate Duet AI with your IDE. It's available in the console, BigQuery, so on and so forth. That's Duet. Vertex AI are the tools for builders, right? So essentially, you want to build your AI-powered application. Vertex AI will provide you with a platform and the APIs and the tools for building an application, doing ML ops. It's essentially whenever you want to do things using ML models, build your applications based on ML models, that's where Vertex AI is a good fit for you. Yeah.
Great. Just a couple more here. Again, if you have any other questions, feel free to add them in. How to start developing basic software with Duet AI?
No, no, I think it's a good question. I think the simplest way is just following the onboarding document we have, installing Duet, and continue writing the code as you do, no changes. You see Duet AI suggestions popping up that will give you some value directly as you're writing the code. Beyond that, if you want to get more of the value of Duet, maybe spending 2 3 minutes reading to our docs and learn, or just trying from the IDE. There's smart actions, selecting some code and clicking on the fix code, on the explain code, generate unit test, or chatbot. I think you get a lot of the value, just the contextual code completions. But if you use the chatbot, we saw it being a powerful tool, kind of say, to help developers kind of say brainstorm, spitball, high level ideas, and have those being translated into reality with the AI models it provides you.
Great. Makes sense. Okay. Our last one here. How can I integrate AI into my day-to-day workflows?
That's a good question. I'd say I think your day-to-day workflows touches multiple surfaces. I think the way of thinking about this is Duet AI very likely cover many of those surfaces. If you're a developer, you likely spend a ton of time on the IDE. So you can install Duet AI for developers, but it's not where it ends, right? So you can go to the console. So you can get Duet AI in the console. You may be writing design documents, or maybe writing proposals. So you have Duet AI in Google Docs, in workspaces. I think it's the basic step here be just starting using Duet AI directly. A common follow-up sub-question I get from this is, how can I incorporate AI into the applications I'm building? Let's say I'm building traditional applications. How can I sprinkle some of the magic of AI here? So that's really where Vertex becomes your helper here. So there could be basic things such as if let's say your application uses images, we have image recognition APIs. Or if you want to build text-based interfaces, we have LLM APIs. That'll be the kind of the next frontier in terms of modifying your application to also incorporate LLMs and ML models to it. Yeah.
Great. Well, I will leave up the resources slide as we go through just a few of the remaining questions from the chat. So, Marcos, do you actually want to continue with those as you were?
Yeah, I can. I think I covered most of them. There were a few lingering here, I'd say, from Rohit, any implementation towards Google Voice assistants. I don't think there's anything concrete there to share, so nothing specific. Then Ezekiel Colas had a question is, can I use Duet AI to refactor my code in a function? Yes, I think that's what you can do that via either the chat or smart actions. Let's see if there is any question. I'm just scrolling up here to see if there's any question I may have missed. So up there is a Sebastian Pleshko. Could use this to migrate a code base from a language to another? You can. I think the migration use case is a spectrum with different levels of complexity. For basic scripts, yes, you maybe use that for basic scripts. But let's say if you have a 200,000 microservice or monolith application, you want to break down into microservices, that may be a bit beyond the capabilities of Duet today. So you can, with some simple cases. For more advanced cases, you may want to build a custom migration application using a custom job to use that. So you can, for limited, simple use cases. Can the model hold two code bases in its context? So you can't. So the only hack you can do that is create a multi-root workspace and open those files. That'll be a way, because that way you can have two Git repos on the same workspace. That'll be the only hack here, but it's a bit of a hacky solution. So I think the short answer is no. There's some workarounds if you want to push the limits of Duet. Let's see, one more question from Farhan Tanvir. Do Duet AI also help in frameworks like Django, Express.js? Yes, you should help with those. I think the rule of thumb here is if a framework has good coverage from the open source community, meaning there are lots of repos written on that, it should get okay to good coverage on Duet. Where Duet really gets limited is for smaller languages or frameworks which are mostly private or with limited open source code available. Next question is Kurstorsk, and really sorry if I'm butchering everybody's names here, but do you have any tips for writing best prompts? So there are some pages in our docs which show some of the prompting guidance. So one thing I always try to do in Duet is try to get to a point where you don't have to worry about prompt engineering. Just get Duet to perform well enough for your prompts. But we do have developers say, hey, I want to further fine-tune, improve the quality of Duet. We do have a page with some guidance, some prompts. So there's some techniques like chain of thought prompting, React prompting. There are some techniques there which help you get an additional improvement on the performance of Duet. Can Duet help? Next question here is official Milawi's neighborhood channel. Can Duet help with SQL accounting system migration to Google Cloud? I think I need more detail to be able to address this question. If let's say if this is a application written in Python, Java, we may help with that. But if that's some kind of I think it depends on the system. This is right here. And Alex L has a question. Can it give a UI UX suggestion, or even design the entire page? So partially, if you're talking about let's say, can you help me write a manifest file, or can it help you write code, but it won't help you create visual assets. So if you're talking about visual assets, it won't help you, but it will help you with code writing tasks specifically. All right, I think I may have covered the bulk of the questions here, and I see we are at time. There's one more here for Sachi. Is Duet readily available in Google Enterprise Solutions? So Duet is a Google Cloud product. So you can buy Duet as part of the Google Cloud offering. It should be a Google Cloud SKU on the billing hierarchy. And between now and February, you need to buy it. It's available for free. So starting February 1st, it should be available within the Google Cloud terms of service and Google Cloud offerings. Yeah.
Great.
All right.
Well, thank you everyone for all of your questions. Thank you, Marcos, again, for a fantastic presentation and demo and for answering everyone's questions. We really appreciate your time. And thank you everyone for joining us. Any final recommendations or thoughts before we close out today?
No. First of all, thanks everybody for joining the session, for your attention, for all the great questions you had. And I think the recommendation here is try it out, try and enjoy it. And if any feedback, there is a contextual feedback button on the bottom of the screen, and our team reads those on a daily basis. We may not be able to reply back to you, but know that our team is doing the deliberate effort to read all of those. And if it's just try it out, I'm curious to hear feedback and for you to share the cool stuff Duet AI will help you folks build.
Absolutely. Try it out. We'd love to hear from you too in the community if you have any feedback or questions as you're getting started with it. So thank you so much again, everyone. And thank you, Marcos. We hope you have a great rest of your day or evening or wherever you are in the world. Appreciate it and hope to see you next time.
Thanks, everybody.